Have you ever reached the end of a long day, completely exhausted, only to look back and wonder, what did I actually accomplish that was meaningful today? You answered 50 emails, you attended 4 meetings, you put out countless small fires, your calendar was packed. But the big projects, the goals that could actually change your life, they remain untouched. We live in a culture that worships busyness. We confuse motion with progress. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. But deep down, there's an unsettling truth we all feel. We are squandering our potential on things that don't truly matter. We aren't just managing our time poorly. We're trapped in a psychological phenomenon I call the urgency trap. It's a state where we become addicted to reacting to what's immediately in front of us at the expense of our future. And surprisingly, our brains are actually wired to keep us trapped. There's a neuroscientific reason why we hate prioritizing what's important in the long run. But what if there was a way out? What if a simple 2x2 grid designed by a man who had to make life and death decisions during the largest war in history held the key to rewiring your focus? In this video, we are not just going to talk about the Eisenhower Matrix. We are going to dive deep into the psychology of why it works, why most people use it wrong, and how you can transform it from a mere productivity tool into a blueprint for intentional living. Welcome to Psych Blueprint. Get ready to shift from a state of chaotic reaction to one of calm control. To understand the power of the Eisenhower Matrix, we must first understand the problem it solves. Most of us approach our day using what we might call the checklist mentality. The old paradigm goes like this. You wake up, you list everything that needs to get done. Everything is treated almost equally, and then you start working, usually with the easiest things or the things that are screaming the loudest. The checklist mentality has a fatal flaw. It doesn't distinguish between different types of work. It puts cleaning the inbox on the same level as developing a 5-year business strategy. This is where the new paradigm comes in. True productivity is not about time management. It's about priority management. It's not about doing more things. It's about doing the right things. Imagine this. Your life, your career, your happiness, they are a vast garden. For this garden to thrive, it needs regular, intentional care. Planting seeds, watering, planning for the seasons. This is deep, meaningful work. But most of us don't spend our time in the garden. We spend our day acting like a firefighter. There's a blaze in the kitchen, a false alarm upstairs, a cat stuck in the tree next door. We run from crisis to crisis, hose in hand, reacting to the world. And while we're busy saving the cat, our garden is dying. This is the core of what Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces during World War II and later President of the United States, understood deeply. He famously said, "What is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important." To operationalize this wisdom, he developed a simple matrix. It forces you to categorize every task based on 2 criteria. Is it urgent? And is it important? This creates 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, important and urgent. These are crises and deadlines. These are the real fires. You must do it now. Quadrant 2, important but not urgent. This is long-term building, planning, relationship building, learning new skills, personal development. This is the gardening. You must schedule it. Quadrant 3, urgent but not important. These are interruptions, most emails, many meetings, requests from others that don't align with your goals. These are the false alarms. You should delegate or minimize it. And quadrant 4, not important and not urgent. These are time wasters and escapism. You should eliminate it. On the surface, this seems simple, but implementing it requires a profound shift in mindset. Because, as we will explore, there's one of these quadrants that looks productive, but is actually the most dangerous trap of all. And understanding why we find it so difficult to focus on quadrant 2 is the key to unlocking your true potential.
To master this matrix, we need to dive deeper into the psychology and mechanics of how each quadrant operates. Let's break down each quadrant in more detail. Quadrant 1, the quadrant of necessity. When we are here, we are in reactive, high-stress mode. Adrenaline is pumping. We can't avoid Q1, but the goal is to minimize the time we spend here. Ironically, many Q1 crises are a direct result of neglecting Q2. That frantic deadline was caused by poor planning. Quadrant 2, the quadrant of excellence. This is where the magic happens. Activities here are high leverage. They create exponential growth. Q2 is proactive, not reactive. It requires deep thought and focused energy. It is the quadrant of leadership and foresight. Quadrant 4, the quadrant of waste. We often retreat here when we are burnt out from Q1 and Q3. It's a coping mechanism. While rest is necessary and can be Q2 if intentional, pure Q4 is escapism. Now let's talk about the most dangerous trap, Quadrant 3, the quadrant of deception. Tasks here are urgent, but they are not important to your long-term goals. The danger of Q3 is that it makes you feel busy and important. You are reacting, you are taking action, but you are working on other people's priorities. It's the colleague stopping by your desk with a quick question. It's the constant pinging of email notifications. It's attending a meeting you don't really need to be in. Q3 is the primary enemy of Q2.
If we know Q2 is the most important, why do we spend so much time in Q1 and Q3? This is where we need to talk about neuroscience. Why does our brain hate prioritizing what's important in the long run? The answer lies in a psychological phenomenon called the mere urgency effect. Our brains evolved to survive in an environment of immediate danger. Urgency hijacks our attention. Researchers have found that people are biased towards performing urgent tasks even when those tasks offer a lower objective reward than non-urgent tasks. Why? Dopamine. Completing an urgent task provides a quick hit of dopamine, a feeling of instant gratification. It relieves our anxiety about having something unfinished. Conversely, Quadrant 2 tasks require delayed gratification. They are often more complex and ambiguous. There is no immediate consequence if you don't do them. There is no adrenaline rush. So, we get stuck in the urgency trap. We prioritize Q1 and Q3 because our brains are wired to do so. It feels good in the moment, even if it is sabotaging our future. The Eisenhower Matrix is an external tool designed to help your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for long-term planning, win the battle against your amygdala, the part of the brain that reacts to urgency. When people first try to implement the Eisenhower Matrix, they often run into a few roadblocks. Skepticism 1. But how do I define what is truly important? This is the crux of the system. If you don't have a clear definition of importance, the matrix collapses. Importance is deeply personal. You must define your core values and long-term goals. When a task comes up, ask, does this task move me closer to the person I want to be or the goal I want to achieve? If not, it's not important. Skepticism 2. My job is reactive. I have no choice. While some jobs are truly reactive, like an ER doctor, for most of us in knowledge work, the feeling of constant reactivity is often a self-created problem. We have trained the people around us that we are always available. We haven't set boundaries. We will cover how to change this in the solution section. Skepticism 3. Quadrant 4 isn't always bad. I need downtime. Absolutely true. The problem isn't relaxation. The problem is unintentional reflexive relaxation. If you plan downtime to recharge, that is a Q2 activity. If you find yourself mindlessly scrolling social media because you're avoiding a difficult task, that is Q4. The difference is intention. The consequences of living in the urgency trap are severe. It's not just about productivity, it's about the quality of your life. Consider the story of Alex. Alex is a talented manager, working 60 hours a week.
Alex is always the first to respond on Slack and is praised by their boss for being responsive. But Alex is miserable. Alex isn't sleeping enough, has stopped exercising, and feels their career is stagnating. Why? Because Alex is living entirely in Q1 and Q3. Alex is an excellent firefighter. But what about Alex's Q2 tasks? Developing the long-term strategy, mentoring team members, learning new skills. These are the things that would actually get Alex promoted and provide a sense of fulfillment, but they never get done because they are never urgent. The long-term impact is burnout, resentment, and stagnation. Alex is sacrificing their garden to put out other people's fires. The difference between a reactive, stressful life and a proactive, impactful life lies in your ability to shift your focus from urgency to importance. Now that we understand the problem and the psychology behind it, it's time to build the solution. It's time to take back control of your garden. Transitioning from a reactive firefighter to an intentional gardener is a systematic process. Here is your blueprint, broken down into 3 phases: diagnose, stabilize, and optimize. Before you can fix your system, you need to understand where it's broken. Step 1.1. Conduct the ruthless time audit. This is the first step I challenged you to take. For the next 24 hours, or ideally 3 working days, track exactly where your time is going. Categorize each task into one of the 4 quadrants. Be honest. Alex did this and discovered they spent over 50% of their time in Q3 and less than 10% in Q2. Step 1.2. Define your compass. Define importance. Identify your top 3 to 5 core values or long-term goals. This is your definition of importance. This is the compass you'll use to navigate the matrix. Now that you have your diagnosis, it's time to stop the bleeding. Step 2.1. Master the art of the graceful no. Q3 strategy. This is the hardest but most important skill. You need to start declining requests that do not align with your compass. Here is the effective saying no technique I promised. Assess, negotiate, and redirect. When a request comes in, assess. Is it important to me? If not, negotiate the timing. I can't do it now, but I can look at it on Friday. Or redirect. I'm not the best person for this, but perhaps John could help. Alex started doing this by declining to attend meetings without a clear agenda. Step 2.2. Create buffers. Q1 and Q3 strategy. Instead of letting urgency interrupt your entire day, contain it. Establish specific times for dealing with urgent issues in communication. For example, only check email at 10 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. Turn off all notifications. Set expectations that you will not respond immediately unless it is a true emergency. Step 2.3. Use Q4 intentionally. Replace unintentional time wasting with planned rest. Schedule your downtime and enjoy it fully to recharge.
This is where you move from defense to offense. This phase is about making Q2 your default mode of operation. Step 3.1. Schedule the big rocks. Prioritize. Q2 tasks won't happen by themselves. You must proactively schedule them before the other quadrants steal your time. Identify your peak energy time of the day, usually the morning. Block this time for focused, deep Q2 work. Treat these blocks as non-negotiable. Alex started blocking 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every day for strategic work. During this time, Alex closed email and turned off the phone. Step 3.2. Conduct the weekly review. This is the single most important Q2 activity. Every week, take 60 minutes to reflect on the past week and plan the upcoming week. What worked? What needs adjustment? Schedule your Q2 tasks for the week ahead. Step 3.3. Build systems for prevention. The ultimate goal is to use Q2 time to prevent Q1 crises from happening.
Spend time building systems, processes, and automation. Train your team so they can handle issues without you. By following this blueprint, Alex transformed from a stressed firefighter into a calm, strategic gardener. Alex was more effective, less stressed, and ultimately got the promotion.
We began this journey by talking about the feeling of exhaustion without fulfillment, the feeling of being trapped in the urgency trap. We discovered that the problem isn't a lack of time. The problem is that we are biologically wired to prioritize urgency over importance. But we also learned that we are not slaves to our biology. The Eisenhower Matrix is more than just a 2x2 grid. It is a powerful tool for rewiring our focus. Remember the metaphor of the gardener and the firefighter. When you live in Q1 and Q3, you are a firefighter. You are reactive, you are stressed, and your garden, your life, is being neglected. The goal is to become the gardener, to live in Q2, proactive, strategic, investing in long-term growth. When you do this, your life becomes calmer, more purposeful, and more impactful. This transition requires courage. The courage to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things. But the reward is the difference between a life of busyness and a life of meaning. So here is my challenge to you. Don't just click to the next video, take action. Do that 24-hour audit. Face the reality of where your time is going. That is the first step to reclaiming that calm control. Start building the habit of prioritizing what truly matters. Take back control of your garden. Thank you for watching Psych Blueprint. If you found value in this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more blueprints to master your mind and your life. I'll see you in the next one.